This podcast, we're going to talk about how to scale a business up to $100,000 a month.
And the reason that we chose $100K a month is because we want to make sure that we're giving you guys value in a way that...
Over the past 2 years of doing that, I scaled it to over about 125, 130 grand a month. It's kind of where we sit now. We wanted to kind of show for the people that are doing, 10, 20, 30, 40 grand a month with their businesses, how to get here.
Are they actually interested in what you have to offer? If not...
Welcome to the Seeking Leverage podcast. In this podcast, we're going to talk about how to scale a business up to $100,000 a month. And before we get into all that, we've actually scaled the business to $100,000 a month, our own business. We're both co-owners of The Closing Bible and HireSalesReps.io. They're kind of businesses that feed each other. And we're going to talk about, if we lost everything, how we would build up another one. And we'll just pick a random example. But before we get into that, my co-host could introduce herself.
Hi guys, I'm Michelle. I'm living in Chicago, so I am dating Garrett. Obviously, we've been dating for 4 years. We actually made 4 years in early June, which is very exciting. A little bit more about my background before we get into the whole podcast and my journey, I guess you could kind of say. I started off in network marketing when I was a freshman in college. I was super lost, and then I learned there was this entrepreneurial world. And there was this personal development and journaling and sales and, all that stuff. And so I got into it, tried to make that my thing, and it obviously didn't work out, but I did do it for 4 years and had some success, built a team. And probably year 4, I realized, hey, this is not for me. So finally I got into high ticket sales. For the first time ever, I started off as a closer. And the only reason I started off as a closer was because I had that network marketing sales experience. I was already leading a team and really showing up for myself. So started as a closer for a pretty big company and then quickly became their top seller. In my first year and a half there, I did in my first year there, I did $1.5 million in revenue for them. And then I went on to lead a team and was there for about 5-ish months. And my team did about $4 million in revenue. So I feel very confident with understanding the fundamentals of being able to get a business pretty successful in that regard. So that is a little bit more about me. And I will pass it over to Garrett.
Michelle does not give herself enough flowers. She's the best sales manager I've ever met. I don't say that because we're dating. I say it because I've seen the insides of over literally 100 different 7-8 figure businesses, and she's the best one I've ever met. But anywho, I'll give her flowers because she won't.
I had a good mentor. I really pushed myself to learn. I really wanted to grow. I took leadership really seriously, and I love what I do. So I give you the flowers for building the business from scratch.
Yeah. A little bit about me. I started off just entrepreneurial. I was I don't know, in the beginning of college, trading stocks and flipping shoes and flipping couches and doing a bunch of just random Gary V's side hustles and stuff. And I made a little bit of money flipping shoes, and that was kind of sales. And then I broke into high ticket sales. The first couple offers that were on were not so great. And keep in mind, this was 4 years ago, a while ago, where high ticket sales wasn't even this whole thing. I was just trying to pay rent, and this was a way to do it. I made, $3K, $4K a month here and there over a couple months of doing it. Left it, thought it wasn't for me. Literally got a job at Olive Garden and was I don't think the sales stuff is for me. And then I landed with a really solid company and started making killer money. And I was okay, I do like this. I just didn't like the company I was at. And you had a kind of similar experience.
Yeah.
And then after that, started doing 20, 25, 30 grand a month as a closer. I started managing some sales teams on RevShare and just basically doing just full blown freelancing. I was training some sales reps. I was training some business owners on how to sell their stuff. I was kind of training their team on how to sell their stuff. I was placing sales reps. I was just training sales reps. I was placing sales reps in different businesses. And I just did a little bit of everything. And where I really found the sweet spot after working with a bunch of reps at a bunch of businesses was that what the reps want is good sales training and good placement in a great company. And what great companies want are great sales reps. So that's basically what I did. So the sales reps that want sales training and placement, that's closingbible.com. And HireSalesReps.io is the B2B side where we place sales reps inside of these businesses. So over the past 2 years of doing that, I scaled it to over about 125, 130 grand a month. That's kind of where we sit now. And yeah, I brought her in as a co-owner about a month ago. Yeah, a month ago on the dot, actually. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, we have 17 employees, and it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, been great.
But it's not about us. We're just here to know that we know our shit. So what we're actually going to talk about is how to actually scale a business to 100 grand a month. I remember the first time I was at my first mastermind ever, and they were like, Garrett, you could get to 100K a month. And it was like a number that I couldn't even conceive. And I think now that we're here, I'm like, that isn't shit. Like, we're such a small company.
Yeah.
Like, I think once you get there, you realize how small it is, because I think the more you know stuff, the more you realize what you don't know. So a lot of room for growth. The goal this year is to do $500,000 a month, and I think it's going to be super attainable by the end of 2024. We wanted to kind of show for the people that are doing, 10, 20, 30, 40 grand a month with their businesses, how to get here. Because there's just a big knowledge gap. And I think when you're doing the wrong shit, like, it's hard to scale. So,
and the reason that we chose 100K a month is because we want to make sure that we're giving you guys value in a way that we've been there, we've done that, and we can provide that direct feedback. Because I feel like there's a lot of videos on how to do multiple 6 figures a month, multiple 7 figures a month. But I think when you have people actually break down the first 100K, and like that's what a lot of people are waiting for, is like, how do you go from 10, 20, 30 to a place where you can actually do 100K a month sustainably, you know?
Definitely. Let's say it's like an Airbnb coaching business. A lot of the businesses that we place sales reps for are like 7 and 8 figure coaching businesses. So we've placed sales reps for Amazon coaching businesses, real estate coaching businesses, marketing agencies, a bunch of different stuff like that. So we're just going to pick this one. So I think it's important to talk about, like, when it comes to a business, it's just like, how do we get eyeballs as people who know that our business exists? How do we turn those eyeballs into dollars? And then how do we turn those dollars into smiles, which is basically marketing, sales, and fulfillment. So where would you start?
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious one is like making sure that you actually know the thing that you're selling, and you feel confident in the thing that you're selling, and you feel confident that you can get people results. Let's say the business is like an Airbnb, coaching business. You want to have your own Airbnb, house. Right, that's like the first thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would put this, and maybe you have better words, but I think something, because we have different perspectives of like how to get into sort of the business for the first time, scaling it. But I honestly don't think that there's like anything negative about maybe gaining that like skill, like learning, okay, I have my own, my own thing that's making me money. But before I do my own thing, like full blown do my own thing, I learn from a different company. I get inside of a different company and I learn that skill. I figure out what's working for them. I think that was probably one of the best routes that I took for myself is, even if it's a cut and pay for a while for a certain thing, it's like you get to sit inside of a room and be a fly on the wall of another business that's already working with systems that are already working. And that would probably be my recommendation for someone that is, I mean, even if like, let's say you've been like 10K a month for a long time and you literally do not know how to scale and you've tried a bunch of things, it's like, take a step back, go work in a different business and figure out what's working for them, and then come back so you can actually skyrocket your business, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you're not willing to pay for the knowledge, like, might as well get a job inside of a business so you can learn the knowledge anyways. What are your thoughts?
Definitely. I mean, that's something that I preach too for a lot of the sales reps that we work with, is like a lot of them have businesses that they aspire to start, whether it be a marketing agency, they want to get into real estate, whatever it is that they want to do. I'm like, dude, if you've never been inside of a 7, like 8 figure business, you're going to really struggle to start a 7 or 8 figure business and actually get there, because you don't even know what it looks like. So absolutely, go get a sales job inside of a business that's similar to the one that you want to start, and then kind of see all the ins and outs of how everything works, and then go build it yourself. Like, I think it's like you literally get paid to learn, and instead of paying for a shit ton of coaching to learn how to do marketing, how to do sales, how to do fulfillment, how to run a company, how to hire, you can just learn all that stuff for close to free and literally get paid to do it. And then, coaching and masterminds and all that stuff are very valuable, and you just could pay a little bit less money for some of that stuff.
100%. Yeah, I remember starting as a sales rep, I started to witness problems. Like, I was like, oh my God, lead flow is an issue. How are they going to fix that? Oh my God, all the people that are getting on these calls are like really, really bad quality. I'm like, how are they going to fix that? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, like this happened, that happened. How are they going to fix that? Or like great things would happen. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they're doing like a monthly company meeting. That's pretty crazy. Oh, they're doing like a webinar once a month. That's pretty awesome. Or like, oh, this is why we hire this types of people versus not these types of people. And it's like, you start to learn by default. So I personally would recommend doing it because you have absolutely nothing to lose and like everything to gain long term. It's like walking so that you can sprint, you know?
Yeah. So let's say, for example, they are actually successful in the thing that they're talking about coaching about, of course. Let's say they're already doing $40,000 in income from like the Airbnbs that they own across the United States. And they're like, I want to start this coaching thing. Like I understand business to the degree that like I have an Airbnb business that is like successfully like doing 40K a month. Now I want to teach people how to get into this because I had such a learning curve when I got this thing started, right? So I think what's important is picking like, who am I actually serving? And I think that's often very underlooked when it comes to starting any type of business is if you're getting your first couple customers, honestly, I don't even recommend charging. I recommend getting testimonials. So I would take 5 people that have the highest likelihood of success. Basically, they have a lot of the prerequisite skills to where they would probably do well in this. So like what I would probably do is I would take 5 real estate agents that kind of know real estate. They've just never done Airbnb and work with them for free in exchange for a testimonial. Or if you don't want to do it for free, just do it for like $1,000, like super cheap. Make your first $5,000. And then get those 5 people, get them testimonials, work with them one-on-one and get feedback for whatever questions they have or wherever they get stuck, write that down. Anytime they get confused and they get stuck, they hit a roadblock, write that down. Any questions you're getting asked multiple times, write that down. And then that's going to be what you actually make videos on and what you create SOPs and like modules on, because they're going to be questions that your other customers have. And then more importantly, actually get them results and then get testimonials in exchange for that. So you have your first 5 testimonials. I think that's the best place to start.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I want to go back just a second. You were talking about avatar, and I think that is an extremely important part of the process is like, who are you selling to and what is the mission behind it? Because I think that if your heart is not there and you don't actually care, it's going to be really hard to take it seriously. What I would recommend is that you, I mean, obviously exactly what he said, but also I would recommend that you write down in a document, like a full-blown page document, who is this person? What is this avatar person's name? What do they do full time?
Yeah.
What are their feelings? What are their thoughts? What are they going through in their lives right now? Also, what are they trying to gain in their lives? What are they lacking? Why are they trying to gain that? Why is that important to them? What does that relate to in their lives? And then what does that dream life look like for them? And then obviously, how can you solve their problem? How can you impact them? And how can you completely transform their lives? And I think that if you know exactly who you're looking for, everything is going to be so much easier. Your marketing is going to be easier.
Yeah.
The type of people that you bring onto your team is going to be easier. The way that you show up for them is going to be a lot easier. But you need to get crystal clear on who is that person, and not who are all of those different people you're trying to attract, so that you can hone in on that one person and change that one person's life, and then get a bunch more people that are just like that person.
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, like, let's just give them a fake name. Like, we're talking about Betsy, right?
Betsy.
We want Betsy as a client. And Betsy's 35 years old. She has 2 kids. She's a real estate agent and she's making $5,000 a month, but she wants to make more. And she's been a real estate agent for 5 years and she realizes this just isn't her path anymore. She wants to make more money. She's entrepreneurial, but she doesn't know what path, you know what I mean? Like the location they live in, the country they live in, how many kids they have, if they have kids or not, if they're married or not, if they're dating or not, what interests they have, what job they have, their income.
Decisions.
Yeah. Like I think if you get that mapped out, and I know that might sound like a lot, but when it comes to like marketing and making content and making videos, like when you're looking at the camera, you're talking to Betsy. And I think it's really important because a lot of people start coaching businesses and they're like, absolute beginner, you want to make 10K a month in 30 seconds doing absolutely nothing. You bring this crowd of people
that have no money.
They have just like poor skills at completing anything, and they just have a low likelihood of success. And then in turn, you have bad results with the program. And I think that's super important. Like when you look at Harvard, the reason their success rate is so high and their people do so well is like, yeah, they have great teachers, but they pick the best students. So no matter what they do, they're still going to succeed. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here when it comes to picking an avatar.
Yeah, exactly. And that all kind of ties into like this podcast specifically. We'll have more podcasts for people that are not ready for this conversation, but this podcast is specifically for those of you that are already doing like the 10 to 30K, 10 to 40K a month range, you already have a good idea of your avatar. You just need to get a little bit more crystal clear on it. And you already have that skill. If you're kind of like, I'm sitting on my couch and I have absolutely like no skill. I don't even know what I would sell. I don't even know who I would be talking to because I don't know what I'm good at. I would recommend you get a job first in a business doing something so you can figure out what you're good at and then go from there. So we can continue. But what's the next part? Okay. So I feel like when someone's like, okay, I have my avatar, I know what I want to sell. It's like, let's say it's this,
Airbnb coaching business.
Airbnb coaching business.
Yeah.
And let's kind of work this backwards. I think that one of the biggest problems that people face is they try to be the face, the person that does everything, the person that talks to everyone. Like you try and be the sole person in your business. It's like a one-man show. And what I've seen is like, you're the one doing all the one-on-ones. You're the one doing all the check-ins. You're the one doing all the training videos. You're the one taking the sales calls. You're the one promoting. I think that's the first thing that a lot of people do, and that's what caps people at 10K a month because you don't have any more use.
Yeah.
So how would you solve that problem?
Well, so we start with getting the 5 testimonials, doing the one-on-ones, writing down all those questions, right? And what we're talking about is, given that we have limited resources, we're not making a ton of money with this business, and we don't have any employees, and all of our time is dedicated to doing this and doing literally everything. So we found out all these questions. We're going to make very detailed videos on all of these questions that we got and the roadblocks of where the first 5 clients got stuck in. And then we have these testimonials. And then we're going to make modules in detail on all of them. And now we have our modules for how we do it. If you go and start an Airbnb like business, like you have to pick a property. How do you pick a property? Which property do you pick? Where do you pick it? Where's the margins the best? How do you know, all these things. So that's where you start, and you go through the process from A to Z on how to do an Airbnb through videos. And once you've had some one-on-one clients, you switch to group.
So the reason that Garrett talks about like you turn them into modules, why I do that is because there is only one you. Like, especially if you're a one-man show right now, it's like, we can't be repeating ourselves a million times to all these people. If you want to get 10 new clients a month, 20 new, like you're going to run out of use very fast. And this is a really great way to make sure that your process is duplicatable. It's scalable because now we don't need you for everything. Now you make sure that you make some great videos, an A to Z process, an onboarding, section of your tutorials so that when people come in, they know, oh, okay, if I just follow this from top to bottom, I know exactly what to do next. I know exactly how to go through this process. I know exactly how to get the results. And so that's why we talk about having videos, because you want to be able to add value and use your voice and share your knowledge in a way that is actually duplicatable and doesn't require you to be repeating yourself like millions of times. So that's why he was talking about the modules.
Yeah, it's about making fulfillment scalable, because if we're trying to do $100,000 a month, like if you're trying to make 10K a month, sure, repeat yourself 1,000 fucking times and like keep doing that and do it by yourself. But that's not what we're here to do.
Let's say a program was like $5,000 and we're trying to make $100,000 in a month. You're good at math. What is 100,000 divided by 5?
You need 20 clients.
20 clients. Imagine you had to say the same thing to 20 people and answer the same questions to 20 people and show up the same way for 20 people, all within 1 month. And then imagine doing that by 11 more months. Like, you're going to run out of time and like energy.
Yeah.
And you're going to get drained really fast.
You're going to die. You just can't do it. So anyway, let's say it is. And that's kind of what I was getting at, right? So we have our videos that cover everything. Let's say we do 3 times a week coaching calls. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon, we do a group call, because the people are going to learn from the people too. And then we're going to have a community, right? So you just host this in school with a K, SKOOL. Have a little community where they can ask questions and stuff. You got your videos in there. You host your coaching calls in there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's what we're going to be doing from like a delivery standpoint. That's what they're getting. 3 times a week calls, community, videos. Bang. And we're going to charge $5,000 for it. That might sound expensive to some of you. It might sound cheap to some of you. We've placed reps in different businesses like this, and they've charged $3,000 all the way up to $20,000. So 5K is kind of a normal sweet spot price.
Yeah, it kind of depends on like the deliverables and like obviously the ROI, return of investment. So we have the fulfillment, like we have the videos, we kind of have that. What happens next?
Yeah. So I started with fulfillment because it's like you have to actually get people results. That's why we did the first 5 for free in exchange for testimonials. What we want to do next, because again, we want to make this scalable, is the next part is like, we got to go get these clients. Now that we have this thing kind of built for them, like there's no point in sitting in coaching calls with no one in there. So we got to go get some damn clients. So what I would do is I would make what's called a landing page, basically like a website. And I would put the 5 videos of the people at the bottom and say the name, just a quick like before, after. I was a real estate agent and doing this and this, and now I'm making $5K a month, $10K a month with Airbnb, whatever. Slap the 5 testimonials, the before and after, and then above there, you're gonna make what's called a video sales letter. So what a video sales letter is, basically just anyone who's kind of interested in the service, you're explaining what they would need to know before they would hop on a sales call with you. So it's just a persuasive video that does that. It explains what they would be getting, where they're at, what problems they're facing, what their dreams and goals are. You put that in a video and then you put a link right there. It says, hey, now book a call. Now we have a website.
And just to piggyback off that, you do not want to say the price of your program in that VSL. You do not want to say all of the deliverables in that VSL. You basically want to capture their attention, call them out, like call out their pain, their current situation, call out their desired life, and how this and solving this problem through this vehicle could actually get them to that desired life. And then you want to encourage them with a call to action to book a call, but you don't want to say the price or a bunch of like the deliverables, because you want there to be enough mystery to where they still want to book the call and talk to someone. Because if you give them everything on that first call, why would they book a call if they don't need you anymore? They're just going to go ahead and leave until they feel ready for like a next step, versus just coming on a call and getting all that information delivered face to face to where they can ask questions and make the decision to move forward on that call with you.
And not just anyone. We're talking to Betsy. Let me make this video sales letter.
Yeah, Betsy, this is for you.
So yeah, like we're literally making it for her, and you're speaking to this person that you wrote to on the Google Doc. Like, I know you want more from life and you're doing okay, but you have this entrepreneurial tendency, you've not just lived it. Like, that's kind of who you're speaking to in the video. And you're even going to say at the top, real estate agents looking to break into Airbnb. Like, you're going to put that on there. Okay. So now we have a website, but we need people to go find the website. So we got to make some content and we got to run some ads.
Yep. I would recommend, I mean, this is going to take time. You don't need to know all this off the bat, but I would say if we go simplistic and then kind of grow from there, put the link in bio. So put it on your TikTok, put it on your Instagram, put it on your Facebook. And obviously, like, you have to talk about it. Like, you have to be proud of this business. You can't be in hiding, especially if you're the face of this business. Like, you need to be promoting this business and promoting the solution and giving value inside of that environment. So it's not always just like, come do this, come do this, come do this, come to my program. It's like, here's all the value on, for example,
Definitely.
how to scale an Airbnb, like, what is it called? Profile. Like,
Airbnb business.
no, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like a profile, because don't they have a profile with different Airbnbs?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. But basically, you're giving value on the topic. You're giving so much value that you become someone that is worth following, because you add value to people on this topic. So you become an expert in that topic. So when you do pitch, or when you talk about it on your story, or when you have that link in your bio, people are more trusting of you because you've already shown that you can add value to them for free, that they want to pay for that value. Garrett's going to talk a bit more about the ad side of things, because I think that's honestly like the biggest way to scale. Is not just social media, but also a little bit of the ads to get in front of that target audience.
Yeah. When it comes to making content, I would make content on Instagram and YouTube. You would say TikTok. You would say TikTok. You can literally post the exact same video on Instagram and TikTok. There's slight variance to the platform to platform, but when it comes to like you only being one person and you only having so much time, I would recommend
stick to one or two.
I would recommend Instagram, YouTube, and if you want, I would just make the same video for Instagram and TikTok, even though it's not ideal. Because, and this is gonna, like, depending on how much you know about marketing, this will hit home for you. When you post content, you're posting content to build your audience, not just to grow a following, but to build what's called a retargeting pool. If you've ever followed someone or seen someone's content and you're like, man, how do I keep seeing their ads nonstop? It's on purpose. It's because they run retargeting ads. And retargeting ads are the cheapest ads and most profitable ads you could ever run. Like, I'm talking, you could spend $1,000 a month, and with 3,000 followers, every single follower will see your ad at least twice a week. So like this is very cheap stuff that can make you so much money. Keep in mind, we're selling a $5,000 service. If we get one client a month from it, we will be profitable. But anyway, that's the purpose of doing this, because when we make content, we want to make it for Betsy. Like we want it to be her, because if we try to run retargeting ads to a bunch of broke people that do not have an interest in Airbnb, and we're talking about like how to cook a fucking chicken marsala, like we're going to get the wrong audience to retarget. So I would literally go into all of your Airbnbs and just do a walkthrough of the whole property. And because it's real, right? There's a lot of fucking dumb gurus that lie and scam and yada yada. And we want to create as much separation as physically possible. So walk through your property and be like, bought this couch, I bought this place, you know, I bought this property for this much money, it's renting out for this much, and just break down all the finances on every property you own. I think that would be the most like, whoa, this person is legit thing ever. So that's where I would start with the content. I would honestly do that on YouTube, and then I would make short forms of it too.
Yeah.
So I would start there, and you'll gain a little bit of a following, and then you're going to start getting questions. How did you know to pick that property? How did you know? And you already got questions from all of your clients too. So you can literally just answer all the questions you got from your clients, and all the comments that you get, you make videos answering those questions as well too. And for all the course content, post that on YouTube. Just a big old long, like hour-long video compiling a lot of the videos that you made, and just give away a bunch of free game, because we just need eyeballs. We need people seeing this, and we need people that trust you and get value from you. So that's the marketing side of things. You're going to start getting comments being like, how do I get into this? How do I do this? How do I do this? You have a link in bio. When you make YouTube videos, you're going to put that like little link in the description. And where I could pass it off to Michelle here is, I'll talk about this for a little bit longer. You're going to get your first 1,000 followers on Instagram, your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. YouTube is a slower grind, but you can make 30 grand a month from a YouTube with 500 subscribers, I promise. Instagram will grow faster. And then you want to start running retargeting ads on Instagram and YouTube.
I think the retargeting ads is going to confuse people.
Well, if this guy's making 40K a month with his Airbnb business, he can figure it the fuck out.
Or pay for it. Pay for knowledge, dude. Like,
ads are not hard. Like, they seem daunting and scary.
YouTube it.
Go onto YouTube and type in like how to run a Facebook retargeting ad, and I promise you there will be someone giving you like step-by-step instructions. I just figured it out, and I've been running them for over a year, and I did it with paying a couple people for like an hour-long call, and I figured it out. So anyway,
really fast, I'm going to cut him off, and I'm going to talk about my perspective of social media, and then we can move on to a different part of the business.
Definitely go to sales.
But we should go to sales.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would recommend that like you don't just blindly try and start posting content. Like, I would personally recommend that you spend time blocking it in your calendar to actually do research on people that you want to be like, people that have the businesses you want to get into and like scale, and figure out what's working for them. So for example, you know, some of my TikToks, and that's what we mentioned, we have different versions and perspectives of TikTok, because TikTok doesn't work for him, but it does work for me, and it has brought us in like a decent amount of customers, is because of the way that I post the TikTok, and the way that like my hook is, and the way that I tell a story through my videos. And I didn't figure that out until I started doing research on other people that I wanted to be similar to, and then I just started to get better at it. So just don't go at it blindly. Like, I would really be intentional about the type of content that you film and the way that you portray yourself, because you're going to be attracting people like you, people that act like you, people that think like you. And the faster that you can get out of your own way and out of your own like comfort zone and start doing that, and intentionally make sure that your videos are like, you're proud of them, there's a storyline there, you have a purpose, you have a hook, you have a call to action at the end. The faster that you can understand the like basics of social media and branding, the faster that you're going to feel more confident with even like the retargeting ads. Like, whenever we get to that place, that when people come to your Instagram, or people go to your YouTube, when they go to your TikTok, you are established. And established doesn't mean a bunch of followers. Established means that you are showing up powerfully, and you know exactly who you are, you know exactly who your avatar is, and you're vocalizing that through your content, because you're being so intentional that you're like earning your seat at the table, you're earning your credibility, and you're earning your expertise too.
Definitely. Do you want to talk about the basics of like how to make I don't want to say a viral video, but like a video that performs?
Yeah.
Because this person maybe he's never made content before.
Yeah. I would say like, so for, I mean, I don't know, it's different for everyone. Like some people do really well just like with a hook, like talking to the camera. Like if you want to learn how to do this, keep listening, and then it gives some value. What's worked really well for me is taking a bunch of B-roll. So B-roll is basically like videos of me doing different things that kind of have to do with the thing. So for me or for us, it's like high ticket sales or remote closing or managing a sales team, for example, and taking B-roll of that and then creating a storyline that explains my story while at the same time gives me credibility. So for example, if I say like day in the life of a, you know, girl living in downtown Chicago making 20K a month or whatever through Airbnb, then I immediately have a hook that catches people's attention because it's like you were talking about like the whole city thing. And then you're saying like I make this much a month through this vehicle. Now you've got someone's attention because you have the credibility of whatever it is that is for you. Maybe it's just the business and the income that you're making through that. Maybe it's a lifestyle that you've been able to achieve through that. Maybe it's, you know, whatever it may be for you. And now you can actually go into the video and, you know, the hook is probably the most important part of it, but you want to share a story of how you actually went from, let's say Betsy, how you went from being Betsy to being the person that you are right now. So you're always talking to your avatar. Like, you know, I was just a real estate agent and I was a mom and I had, you know, 3 kids and I felt like I was doing really good. I was working my way up. But I was just capped financially and I couldn't figure out how to get past it. It made me feel this type of way. And I remember this feeling and this is how that impacted my relationships. And because of that, I decided to X, Y, and Z, decided to try out Airbnb, you know, business, and it ended up working out really well. And since then I've done X, Y, and Z. So what we've done at this point is we've basically created a hook that gives you credibility. And then we went into a storyline where you're explaining your story in a way that also correlates with Betsy, your avatar, and the transformation that Betsy's going to have. And then you're ending it with the call to action of like, if you want to hear more about this, or if you want to learn more about my journey or how you can do this too, like follow or hit the link in bio. Like not all of your videos should be hit the link in bio, but they should all be a call to action of why they should stay and keep following you and keep following your journey because they see something in you that makes them want to stay or maybe even makes them want to work with you too.
Yeah, the call to action should literally just be to follow. You don't want to be like, buy my stuff in every single video.
Why?
You have to give more value than you take. And where people take more than they give, that's when they get a bad reputation with their audience. And it's like, you just always have to give more than you take because you don't have to, and this goes back to retargeting, that's why I like them, is because if you're constantly being like, buy my coaching in every video, you're like, this guy's a friggin' sleazeball. Like he just wants money in every video. It's crazy. But if this fictional person who runs this fictional business just makes really good, really valuable content, and they're like, man, this person isn't asking for anything. And then they just happen to see an ad being like, if you want to start, you know, I scaled a Airbnb business to 40K a month and I want to help you do the same, book a call and speak with me on how I could help out. It's like, oh, that's so cool. This guy, I didn't even know he did this, right? It's different. When it comes from an ad, it's fine. When it comes from content, it's like, oh, this person's asking me for stuff. But you can do it. I would just recommend doing it in Instagram stories, and not in the actual posts, probably. But yeah, that was really well said as far as how to make hooks, how to make stories. B-roll is basically just like little bitty clips that you just kind of mash together, almost like a compilations, and then you just do a voiceover where you're just telling a story. So that's the marketing. Let's talk about the sales. So now we have people interested in Airbnb. We know we have a service that we can actually fulfill on. We have all that stuff set up. We have a website, and calls are starting to get booked. And because we're a one-person business, we have to take these calls. So what are we saying in these sales calls? How do we close some deals?
Do you think that like, yeah, someone's taking their own sales calls until they kind of make a decision? I mean, if you're already at 10 to 40K a month and you're already taking your own sales calls, what is next from there? Is it hiring someone first?
Well, I mean, we were kind of assuming this was a brand new business, no? Or
I thought we were talking to like 10 to 30K a month right now.
We're saying they're making 40K a month with actual Airbnb business, and then they want to start coaching.
Okay.
We'll talk about how they can hire salespeople though.
Yeah. I would probably say like we have the fulfillment already done. We have the marketing that's doing good. Honestly, I would recommend having a number two. Like, I think that one person trying to take all the sales calls, trying to do all the marketing, trying to do all the fulfillment, you're going to cap yourself so fast that you're going to stop trying. Like, I know, like, when you started your business, you know, for a loan, you ended up having a number two, like, very quickly on. Like, who was your first hire?
I had a video editor and an appointment setter. So I basically had, I've never known how to edit, to be frank. So, yeah, I would have someone editing your YouTube videos and editing the content. You can literally get someone to edit a short form video for like $10 and a YouTube video for like $30 a video. Just hire someone from overseas where the money stretches further over there. I would get an editor and I would get an appointment setter. So I would get someone to manage your DMs on Instagram and call your opt-in leads.
Yeah. So when it comes to taking a sales call, I don't want to get too deep into like that whole topic.
Sure.
Because, how to do a good sales call, that's a literal hour-long conversation.
That's a whole podcast.
Itself, and like
we'll do that one time, but not today.
Yeah, not today. But obviously you have to be the one that takes that sales call if you're a one-man show right now.
Yeah.
So biggest key points, biggest things that I'm going to say when it comes to taking your own sales calls is, number one, act professional. You know, right now you are the one taking the sales calls, but one day you won't be that person. And so you really want to make sure that like everything that you're doing is how you would want a salesperson to show up for the business. So I would start documenting everything. I would like what it's like, well, what's the most professional way to do a sales call? Create a script, whether it's create a script, it's work with, you know, a company that already can help you with like the scripts and like the fundamental stuff like that. But you should make sure that everything that you're doing, like your confirmation text, the way that you go about that call, the way that you follow up with them, the calendar, the way that you set up your calendar, all of that needs to be written down somewhere, because you need everything that you do to be duplicatable. Because if you're doing everything and you're not documenting any of it, and you try to bring someone else onto your team, you're going to get extremely confused with how to coach them versus just documenting from the very beginning, hey, these are the things that I'm doing right now that one day I would want to hand off. And handing off taking a sales call is going to be something that you definitely want to do if you want to scale, because obviously the normal percentage of a close rate, which is out of every 100 people that you get on the phone, about 20% will usually close, which is 20 people. So it's like, if you actually want to scale to 100K a month, how many was that? 20 closes?
20 closes.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to 100 people with a 20% close rate to actually hit 100K a month. So realistically, doing the fulfillment and the marketing and the client success, you know, being the client success manager, like, you're going to run out of time. But we can kind of talk about getting your first salesperson in a little bit. But the main key points with a call should be, first one, not script related, but it is energy. Like, this conversation, the first 5 minutes, it's basically someone's first impression of you. So someone's first impression of this business, what they're expecting, whether it's you or a salesperson. Energy needs to be high, needs to be smiles on your face, you need to be interacting, you need to be caring about them, and you need to let them know that you're excited to be there. And I think that's like common courtesy. It's like, if we go hang out with friends and they're like not excited at all, it's like, dude, I know you don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. It's like, if you're on a sales call with someone, you better act excited, you better act like it's, you know, you're extremely excited to be present on that call. Finding common courtesy, finding common ground. It's like, where do you live? Oh, I've been there. Oh, I haven't been there. What's it like? Like, just making sure that this person likes you. And then the next thing is framing your call. So you really want to make sure that you're framing your call in a way that it's going to get you to look and be the authority in that conversation. Like, hey, I'm going to tell you how this call is going to go, and this is what you can expect. And so a really good way of framing a call is just introducing yourself, your role in the company, and explaining to them what is going to happen on this call. So something as short as, let's talk about, like, with Betsy. Amazing. Like, I'm so excited to meet you, Betsy. You know, I'd love to hear a little bit more about where you're at right now in your current situation. I saw that you are in real estate. And I'd love to hear more about where you're wanting to go, what your dream life looks like. And if it's in alignment to work together, I can walk you through next steps today. If not, no big deal. But really, the way that I frame that, it portrayed me as the one that is in authority, going to lead the conversation. Number two, it painted a picture for her of like what she can expect in our conversation. And number three, it planted the seed that if this conversation goes good, we will be moving forward today. Because a lot of people end up, like, especially like when you're in the 10 to 30K a month range and you're the one doing all the sales calls, you just assume that everyone needs to think about it because we never planted the seed that like we're going to be moving forward today. And really, really, really basic form layout of like that call structure is get directly into current situation and why they're unhappy and why they're wanting to transition. And then figure out what their dream life looks like and what it will take to actually get them to that dream life, like the actual financial numbers that they need, the actual time that they want to be able to live that life. And when you feel like you've figured out this person's like pain and desired life, then we can actually get into the pitch, explain everything. But before we get into the offer stack, we always want to temp check. And I know that this can be really cringy, like that whole on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? But it's like, you need to ask that number because you need to know, are they actually interested in what you have to offer? If not, you shouldn't waste your time pitching to them because you only want people to be all in when you're about to go into your pitch. What do you want to add to that script?
Yeah, I think just real quick, when you talk about the current situation, any level of pain or discomfort or annoyance that they have with that, and then their future situation, the money they want to make, the life they want to live, yada, yada, like that's just through getting to know the human being and actually caring about them. And then the mechanism is like the bridge that takes them from where they're at to where they want to be. So that bridge in this instance is starting an Airbnb business. And because you on the sales call have the authority of someone who's scaled this business to 40K a month yourself, you have the authority to be like, I'm the person that could help you walk over that bridge. And this is the one solution to take you from where you're at and get you out of the pain that you're in right now to where you want to be ideally. But yeah, I mean, I think it was super well said. And then when it comes to the pitch, you really don't want to go into all the weeds of, okay, we got 3 calls, we got these videos, we got this, we got that. You basically want to take them through, in my opinion, and you may have different opinions on this, basically just like a chronological order of what it's going to take to actually start this business and what it's going to do for them. Okay, we're going to help you find your first property. This is how we're going to do that. These are the resources that we have to help you do that. Once we have our property, we got to fill it with people. Here's how we do that. And here's the resources we have to solve that problem. Once you do that, you're going to be like, oh, wow, we just need to get more properties. And then we help you how to scale from there. And you know, that's what it looks like. And this is how we can get you to insert income goal that you said earlier in the call.
Yeah. And I would make it really simple. I would pick 3 to 4 pillars of like what is going to take to get them there. So maybe the first pillar is like, we figure out where we're going to buy this, you know, property at, you know, what that's going to look like, what the price range is for you, and all the things that go with that. The next part could be like furnishing it and all the things that go into that. Or maybe it's like furnishing it and the cleaning supplies and like the property management. The next section could be like how to market that Airbnb business to get it more customers. And it could just go into this whole thing, but I would simplify it down to where it makes sense for someone. It makes them able to grasp what you're saying, because you don't want to get someone into analysis paralysis where they're not able to make a decision because you just laid out so much stuff. And also, you do not want to lay out like, this is how we're going to do this and this and this and this and this, because it's going to create so much, like, it's going to basically create more confidence in them that they just got all this free value from you, and they could just basically go and do it themselves. So you want to give them enough value, but not so much value that they don't need you anymore.
Valid. And then let's say we close the deal, right? So now we've made our $5,000, and now we have a way to basically, like I said earlier, a business is just turning eyeballs into dollars and dollars into smiles, and then smiles back into eyeballs and dollars, right? That's pretty much the game. It's just a vicious loop. So with the way we get eyeballs, we post on Instagram, we post on YouTube. We have ads that we run both on those platforms that are just retargeting ads. We have an editor that's editing the ads, they're editing the videos. We're still taking the sales calls. The sales calls are getting booked from driving people to our website and booking in a call on there. They already watched the video sales letter. They see the testimonials. So they kind of know how it works before they get on a call. We close deals, and then we take them through 3 times a week group coaching, access to the videos, access to the community. But so now that's like the infrastructure, right? That's just like the structure that we actually sit on. But now we got to scale, like, because again, if we want to do 20 closed deals, that means we're going to have to take about 100 calls ballpark. If you're better at sales, it's easier. That's why we recommend getting a sales job before you start a business. But you're doing 100 sales calls a month. That's literally 5 sales calls a day, 5 days a week. And if you're trying to do these coaching calls, still run your Airbnb business, and then also do all the marketing and make all the content, you're gonna have to outsource stuff. But we have an editor still. We have an appointment setter that's setting up these calls. What do you think should be our first hire or our third hire?
I would say the first thing that we need before, I guess, like another hire, we don't want to just be hiring people left and right without actually understanding our shit, is we need to understand the numbers. Like, we need the finances. We don't want to miss that one. So we need to know, like, what does the editor cost? What does the appointment setter cost? What is the price of the program? How much are you spending on, your ads right now? And with that, those fundamental things, what are you actually profiting? So out of, like, let's say 5,000, and you remove this, you remove that, you remove that, what are you profiting? And that is like the profit that we're starting at right now. And so we need to basically work backwards to figure out, okay, if I'm going to need this position filled, this is how much I would pay them. And like, if we were just to close one deal, right? Like, this is when we would break even, or this is how many deals we would need to close to break even. So we can start to work backwards and figure out what are the profit margins that we're going for, which I think you said, industry standard is around, is it 40?
For profit margins?
Yeah. I've heard it's between 20% for bigger companies,
yeah,
and like 40 to 50% for smaller companies.
Yeah, if you have a very small, team, and you're just like an editor, an appointment setter, and that's it, like, your profit margin should literally be like 90%.
Yeah.
As your team gets bigger, obviously it's going to go down, but as long as the profit is bigger than it is if you're smaller, then it's worthwhile. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so you want to figure out what are all the hires that you want to bring on and how much would you realistically be paying them so that you can have a lump sum number. So for example, let's say that we have a video editor, we have an appointment setter, which an appointment setter is basically someone that will reach out to people that are not, like, they were going to book a call with you, but they didn't finish all the way. And they basically get them back on a call with you. But let's say you're throwing out, $2,000 for the editor a month, $1,500 for this appointment setter. We'll just say that. Let's say $3,500. Now, the next part would probably be like, there's like the salesperson you need. There's obviously someone that you're going to need in the client success department to help you take care of your customers and help you fulfill. I would say those are probably like the next two most important people. Obviously, I think you'd need an operations person at some point in there, but it's not like urgent.
No.
But a salesperson basically gets paid 10% commission. So the really good thing about a salesperson is that a closer is that you don't need to give them a base because they're 10% commission. So if it's $5,000, that means every single deal that they close, they're going to make $500 on the cash collected. Mm-hmm. Same thing, if it was a $20,000 offer, they'd make $2,000 every single deal that they close. Mm-hmm. The perk of that is that salespeople are very money driven. They're very hungry. They're very driven. And they want to take the 100 calls a month. If it means that they're going to get 20 closes and they're going to make $10,000, put me on the phone. Like, I'm there. So, I mean, I would recommend a salesperson because costs nothing out of pocket. It just costs money when they actually close the deals, which is a win-win. 20 closes means, 90,000 for you, 10,000 for them. It's a win-win. They learn a skill, your business grows. Obviously, now we have 90,000 left. We remove whatever it is for the video editor. We remove whatever it is for the appointment setter. And now we have a budget big enough to be profitable and also be able to start scaling your team and get things like a person that is going to help you with the client success.
At what revenue level would you hire a closer?
I would hire a closer sooner than later. Because I think that until you stop closing deals, you're always going to be trapped talking to the front end customer, trying to close people, spending 5 hours of your day trying to get people over the line. You're constantly going to be worried about how to solve this one problem. You're never going to be able to get to a higher level with different set of eyes to say, okay, someone is solving that problem. Someone's bringing in the customers. How can we make sure that fulfillment's good enough to scale it? How can we make sure that, like, people don't want refunds? How can we make sure that the marketing keeps getting better so that we can keep attracting more people? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a pretty big role to get filled sooner than later.
Definitely. Yeah, I think you basically have to hire someone that's either going to be a closer or someone that's going to do fulfillment. And I think it's really dependent upon, like, your level of skill in one thing or the other. Like, if you're really bad at sales, then yeah, it definitely makes sense to bring on a closer. If we're at let's say at this point, we're closing at least 5 clients a month. So we're making 25 grand a month. Okay. Like we're not we're not poor anymore. This business is relatively profitable. We're making 25 grand a month. At this point, fulfillment is still only 3 hours a week. Plus, answering Slack messages and stuff, probably another couple hours. You're also doing onboarding calls with each new client. That puts us at
if it's 5, let's say it's like 5 new clients and they're doing onboarding calls, it's at least 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours, depending on if you're spending 30 minutes or an hour with every single new client.
Yeah. And you're going to get Slack messages or, school messages. You're going to get a bunch of questions and stuff. So it's going to be at least 5 to 10. It's going to be 10 hours a week of fulfillment. You're going to still need to be making content, because this is the dilemma you're going to be in as a one-person show, making 25 grand a month. And I say one person, you'll have an appointment setter and a video editor, but this, it's not as demanding a team member to have necessarily. But you're going to be stuck in a dilemma to where it's okay, I go do the marketing and I get a bunch of sales calls and it's holy shit, now I have all these new clients. Now I got to go work on all these clients. And it's wait, no sales calls are getting booked. Oh, I've not been posting videos. Now I got to go post videos. And you're kind of running around trying to keep everything afloat. So you're either you need to spend time marketing. So you need to either outsource sales or fulfillment. And it just depends what's more time consuming. You kind of just need this jack of all trades, kind of number 2 type person. And that honestly might be in your client base. More times than not it is. You can hire a client to come on board.
Yeah.
And maybe take some sales calls and do a little bit of coaching calls. But just getting out of those redundant tasks, you could focus on marketing is probably going to be the most advantageous.
Yes. Very advantageous. I would say if you've been capped for a while and you're doing everything that you can, you're already making a decent amount of money, but you just can't scale beyond that because you're doing everything. I think it is time, especially at 100K a month. That's a pretty big business, to where you're going to want more people on your team that are leaders. That's huge. I think a salesperson helps you gain more time back into your life to focus on other things that are going to grow the business and move the needle forward. I think a client success person can do that same thing if you want to focus on the sales, but I think it would just make the most sense to fill someone for the role that is taking up the most amount of your time, which is sales. That's definitely take out 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 hours a week on sales calls to close 20 new clients. If you can give off those 20, 40, 60, those 80 hours a month, imagine the things that you could do with your life and with your business. You could start recruiting for other spots. That's probably why I recommend that.
Yeah.
Because fulfillment seems it's still time consuming. There's more of the behind the scenes computer, answering questions and stuff, but it's definitely less time consuming as far as hours go. So it's if you can fill the one that takes the most time, now we can work on everything else. And what I would recommend is to go find some leaders in your network, whether it's exactly like what he said, they're already clients for you. They see the vision, they see the mission, they bring value to the table, or figure out how to find those people. Because really, to run a business that is successful, that can scale, we need to drop the ego and thinking that we can do everything the best, that we can be all the fulfillment and the face and the sales, and it's just us. And we want to go search for talent. And then I think to break that down even more, it's you don't need to manage every single person. You need to find leaders that can manage those different departments. So I would someone that's really good at sales that can help you build that sales team, help you train them, help you make sure that they are giving them feedback, holding them accountable, doing meetings with them. I would find someone that's really good at fulfillment, or if that's you, whatever your thing is, and go all into that. I would find someone that can help you with the marketing side of things. I think marketing is pretty easy, especially at the beginning. What do you think? The ads, I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
Yeah, what they like doing more.
It depends so heavily on the person. Our buddy Cam, who was a real estate coaching business and flips houses and stuff. First video he ever posted got 60,000 views. So
it depends on what you like to do. But yeah, I would say someone in the sales department, someone in the fulfillment department, someone that is either doing the marketing or helping with the marketing, and then operations. But I think maybe fundamentally it would probably be operations, and depends on what the person likes to do.
Yeah,
operations is so key.
Yeah, at least for me, I can speak for myself. I was stuck in this 30 to 50K range for a bit because I was the person doing everything. And I didn't even know what operations meant I remember vividly working with one of my buddies, and he was working, and I was like, what's on your computer screen? Like, what is this? And it was like a Notion build out of like SOPs and step-by-steps on how to do every single action in his business. And I was like, dude, what is this? Like, is this like a software? He's like, no, I built all this. He's like, how do you even work? And I was like, people ask me to do stuff and I do it. And he's like, do you need an operations person? I'm like, what even is that? What do they even do? And they basically like operationalize a lot of the things that you're doing frequently. You build a system around doing it, so that way there's step-by-step instructions on how to pass this off to someone else. So I think when you're at 30, 50K a month and you have you have an editor, you have an appointment setter, you have a closer now, and you're still doing the fulfillment, you're doing the marketing,
and managing salesperson.
And managing 3 employees, you're going to just feel so stressed because you're doing so much shit. Operations person is going to save you time and create space to know who you even need to hire next and where your time is being spent. So I think an operations manager, and again, we're talking about margins and stuff, I would recommend hiring an operations manager, likely from the Philippines, from Brazil, from like South America, but we love the Philippines. And you go to Online Jobs PH, make a job post, and just say, hey, I'm looking for an operations manager with experience, yada, yada. You can get a bunch of applications, do an interview. I think an operations manager is what's going to help you scale from 30 to 50K a month to 100K a month.
Yeah, you need leaders. Like you can't be the only leader on your team. You can't be the only person that's like thinking, like you can't be the visionary with all the visions and like be also the operator and like try to do the management of every single thing. And like, it just does not work long term, especially not at 100K a month. And I think a lot of people's limiting beliefs is like, and maybe it's not, maybe this is what I think, but like, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to spend that money on those people because like, I'm not even like there yet. Like I want to wait. But it's like, if you don't trust that you guys are going to get there and you don't hire and bring people on that have as equal or even better knowledge to bring to the table than you, then you're never going to get out of this cap that you're at of like, this is all I know and this is the only way that it's going to work. It's like we have to think outside the box. And the only way to think outside the box is to hire other people that have different perspectives, different levels of experience that can say, hey, you've been frying yourself because you are the one that's managing every single person and like you have no systems in place and like you're literally like a guinea pig that's in like the little machine, like always moving forward, but never actually leaving a trail behind that is like duplicatable. And that's why I think it's important to bring other people on. Scale.
I think business owners that have never hired phenomenal people look at hiring people as like lost money or like lower profit margins. And once you hire the first great person, or they're like self-sufficient, they're fixing stuff, they're doing stuff without you even asking them, they're solving problems, they're building things just like on their own, they're like a born leader like you were talking about, you'll be like, oh, because you're going to find out, again, it depends on who you are a little bit as a person, but whether that's marketing, it's like, man, if I could just sit down for at least one day a week and just make YouTube videos and make Instagram videos, go to the properties, go live on Instagram, respond to comments, do different things like this, go live, man. And every day I do that, we book so many freaking calls and we make so much more money, but I'm doing all these other things, so I can't do that. You need to hire the people to do the stuff that isn't that so that you could do that as much as possible. And I think that's the key, is finding the person who could be self-sufficient and actually give you your big ROI, because until you change your belief around spending money on hiring great people, you will not scale.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that really fast, and we can kind of move on to like something outside of hiring. Do not be scared to reach out to people and just like pay for exactly what he was saying earlier. Pay for an hour of someone's time. Someone that is smarter than you, better than you. Maybe they already have their own business and maybe they're not looking to join your business, but maybe they are looking to give you value. And I think a lot of people go wrong because you assume that no one wants to give value, that you don't ask, versus just saying, hey, can we hop on the phone? For example, we're expanding our CSM team, and one of the things that we did, because our CSM team is ready to keep expanding, is we wanted to figure out what is a good comp plan for the position that we're trying to expand it into with the things that is going to need for them to do. And we were like, why don't we just reach out to someone that we know in our network that does this every single day and knows what a comp structure would look like for CSM. And obviously, like, maybe you don't have those people in your network, but that's where you put yourself out of your comfort zone. Start making those connections on Instagram, start making those connections on TikTok, like start getting to know people so that when you have questions and you're like, oh my God, I'm ready to bring on a salesperson, how do I pay them? You have someone that you can turn to. You're not just like trying to blindly find solutions in your brain when you've never done the thing and you don't know how to find the thing, then just asking.
Yeah. And I get that it's daunting to do marketing, sales, and build funnels and build VSLs and get testimonials and run coaching calls and run group interviews, hire, onboard people, build systems. Like, I get that it's a lot. And one of the biggest hacks for me was literally DMing people on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, because I was like, man, I keep seeing this person's ads and it's because their ads are really good. And I keep seeing them. Like, I know this person's good at running ads. I'll literally just DM them and be like, hey, I want to pay you $200 for an hour long call. Is that cool? You'll get a lot of yeses. So whether that's you want to hire your first salesperson, you're like, fuck, how do I do this? Like, how do I manage a sales rep? What do I do in my sales team meetings? Like, how do I build a script? Like, go find a salesperson and do that. If you're going to hire your first coach or your first client success manager or your first operations manager, there's a person for everything that knows more than you. And DMing someone and being like, hey, how much could I pay you $100 for a 1 hour call, $200 for an hour long call, or what's your price for an hour long call? I promise you everyone's got a number and you will get your ROI in that hour.
Yep, 100%. So we talked about hiring different departments. We kind of talked about the structure of a sales call, talked about the marketing. We talked about, what else we talk about? Length, the funnel, the fulfillment. I think we should talk a little bit more about the actual, like, things that are not the actual, mechanical stuff, like leadership, growing, changing perspectives. Like, for me, leadership is like really important. And I feel like you need to be intentional on like what type of organization you want to build and scale and like constantly be working on yourself, because it's like, if you're trying to scale and you're not someone worth being like leading someone else, like people are not going to want to be led by you. So that's something that like I really care about. And I think it's important when you scale that you know the qualities of what type of like culture you want to have, what type of people you want to have on your team, what's going to make them great, individuals in your organization. And you want to get crystal clear on that even when you're recruiting, because you don't just want to bring anybody on. You want to bring people on where it feels in alignment and like they're a good culture fit. And I think that gets forgotten a lot, where it's like, oh, they're good, I'll just bring them on, and you forget, like, I literally don't get along with this person, or like, they would not vibe with our culture. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's super important when you hire anyone is like kind of how we painted the picture of Betsy and what we want that to look like. We also want to paint a picture for our average team member and like what we want that person to look like. And it's going to be different for every role. But if we hire someone, a salesperson who just like seems pretty persuasive, but he's really good, but like, he kind of seems like he doesn't exactly have good ethics and morals. And then suddenly he closes a bunch of clients and set terrible expectations for them. And then all of them are pissed off, right? Or, like you need to know who you're hiring and what you want that person to look like. And then once they come on board, how to actually treat this human being. Because at the end of the day, if you're hiring a team and you don't pour into them, then they're not going to pour into your clients and they're not going to pour into your business. And it's like trying to get plants to grow and you're not giving any water or sunlight. Like, leadership, I think, is the water and sunlight to your team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you need to be reading, like you need to be doing the inner work, because if you're not doing the work on yourself, it's like people can just like tell, it's very obvious. And you're not going to attract better people onto your team that have value to give. So was there anything big that we missed? I feel like we can go on for hours and hours, but I feel like...
Yeah, I think just the last thing, which is a bit more tactical, and I'm a little bit more tactical. I feel like you crush mindset stuff. And
No, we don't. Oh, I do.
Oh, you're definitely
Not just mindset.
Well,
I'm really big on like the mechanicals too.
well, definitely. I feel like mindset, leadership, team building, SOPs, systems, like culture. You're really, really, really good at. But
my biggest pet peeve is when someone says just mindset. So I just wanted to add that in.
yeah, of course, I was getting there. But yeah, I think the only thing we haven't really touched on is when it comes to fulfillment, making sure that you are like actually getting people results. Like you need to be iterating. So whoever there's problems with the client journey, you need to be mapping that out. So and I've never owned Airbnbs, but I have friends that do, and I get the gist of it. You have to pick the location. You have to find the property. You have to get people inside that property. You have to kind of market that property. You have to get it cleaned. You have to, get testimonials or what's it called? Reviews. You have to get reviews on your Airbnb. Wherever clients are having hiccups, you have to be fixing those problems and fixing the client journey, because you could do all this cool shit, but if you're not getting your clients results, the business just will not grow. And you need to be constantly like being very obsessive over every single step. Like get what's called Figma.com. It's free. And you can map out like it's a conveyor belt, like little circles of like, okay, a client pays, and then they have an onboarding call, and then they do this next, and they do this next, they do this next. And then you want to map out the whole client journey, and you need to see where clients are getting stuck and always continually be fixing those things. And then assuming clients are actually getting good results. Like, hey, I just got my first property. There's like these peak moments in the client success journey. There's getting your first property, getting it rented out for the first time, and getting your second property, or like hitting the income goal that they desired when they joined, whether it's 5K a month or 10K a month. And at these peak moments of getting your first property, getting it booked for the first time, or hitting that larger income goal that they were shooting for, that is your moment to collect testimonials and get referrals. And this is the sauce that not enough people talk about. You need to get a Trustpilot.com. This is where you get reviews. So when they have their first like hoorah moment, you'd be like, hey, so stoked you hit that. That's so cool. Feel free if you want to drop a review on Trustpilot talking about your experience, because you just got a property in a month. That's crazy. You're going to be doing that. And at these peak moments, ask for a review, a testimonial, or ask for a referral. Be like, hey, Betsy, it's so crazy when we were talking on the call originally, how, you're only making $3,000 a month. And now with this property, we're going to be at a place where we can make like $8,000 a month. That's literally crazy. Like, I bet you have people at work that are blown away that you got your first Airbnb, right? Yeah, actually it is so crazy. Cool. Do you think they'd be interested in breaking into this? I mean, they're all real estate agents. I'm sure they would love to do something like this. But like, yeah, I'd be like, no pressure, but would you have any interest in maybe having them book a call if any of them have been talking about it? If so, I would love to shoot you a little bit of money for shooting us a client over. Getting these referrals will be a way to where you can basically get like quote unquote free clients. And those are going to be the easiest clients to close, the easiest ones to work with. And if you can create this flywheel where you're turning clients into referrals that then get you more clients, that's kind of the last loop of this business that we've not talked about. And I think fulfillment, referrals, testimonial collection is far, far underlooked, but I feel like we've built all the building blocks for an 100K a month business here.
Yeah. I think the last thing that we forgot is the Figma board of the actual business model of like, what is it going to take to get to the 100K a month? Which is exactly what you said, but you just mapped it out for the CSM side of things, the client success stuff. But it's a good point. It's like
an org chart?
Yeah, like an org chart where it's like 100K a month, business model. What would that look like? How many closes is that? How much revenue is that? What are the prices and profits of all that? Who are all the people that is going to like make that come to fruition? So you actually have a plan of like execution. What do you want to add to that?
I feel like we've mapped it out well. You're just talking about like what people are in what departments?
Yeah. Like we've recently actually mapped out what a $500,000
$500 a month team looks like.
We've mapped out what a $500,000 a month team would look like, and then also what $1 million a month team would look like. And like we were able to find goals and like, well, if we were bringing in like, let's say, it's $500,000 a month, that would be this many clients, which would mean this many new clients, which would need this many closers based on like their expectations of how many closes they should be getting. if we actually had this many people coming in through the doors, we would need this many people to fulfill on that many people because of how much one person can like manage in their role. And obviously 100K a month, it's like you don't need that many people, but it is helpful for you to know like how are all the pieces connected together, and that you are not the person that everyone is talking to, asking questions to. You're not the person managing every single person. And then so you have crystal clear clarity on like the big picture. Every single move that you do is going to feel a little bit like not that crystal clear until you feel crystal clear on like, we are doing this with this intention for this reason. And you know exactly how this is going to benefit the big vision of like what you're trying to do, which is create that $100,000 a month business and up.
Yeah. I think as you get bigger as a business and you start approaching, 70, 80, 100K a month, you'll gradually spend less and less time with your clients and more time with your team. And it will become more a game of finding the right team members and pouring into those team members. So that way your team can pour into your clients. So it's not like neglecting your clients. I want to make that abundantly clear. It's just pouring into the team that can pour into the clients, because if you haven't noticed, from this whole level of 0 to 100K a month, the whole thing that we've talked about is essentially this vicious feedback loop of outsourcing the lowest ROI tasks so we can spend more time on the highest ROI tasks, and then keep doing that over and over and over again. And I think once you're at 100K a month and going beyond, it's really a game of like having managers that are kind of like the middle layer between you and your employees that then pour into those teams.
Yeah.
But that's a podcast for another time.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys like this podcast and this conversation. I think it was really impactful, and we just want to make sure that we're adding value to you guys consistently and sharing the things that we're learning through our journey as well. Like one day we will hit 500K a month, and we'll share with you guys how we got there. One day we will hit 1 million a month, and we'll share with you guys how we got there. But also we want to talk to salespeople too, just because Closing Bible and Hire Sales Reps.io. So I think we're going to alternate. So sometimes it might be just sales focused. Other times it might be business related or leadership, mindset, all of the things related. But yeah, thank you guys for hopping on. And if you're still watching, you're awesome.
Shout out to the viewers that made it all the way through. Go ahead and subscribe to this, or like, comment, do whatever. Let us know what types of podcasts, what type of topics you would like in the future, and we'll catch you all in the next episode.
Okay.
Hell yeah. We forgot to record. I'm just kidding.